guys. Well, you guys, it's a special day in the neighborhood. You know how we do it here. A very special day in the neighborhood. And so we promised you earlier that we were going to have another special guest. And so that's happening right now. We have in the studio, everybody, Johnny Britt, Impromp2. But we got to greet him the right way.
Bad man, you know when you can actually move.
Getting to know you.
Fill out the
Getting to know all about you. Getting to like you. Getting to hope you like me. Haven't you noticed? Suddenly we're all bright and breezy. Go on, Lillian. Cause of all the wonderful and new things we're learning about you day by day. Everybody! Everybody! Man! Take a look, everybody. Let me tell you, for those of you who don't know, Johnny Britt, I'm going to read from his own wonderful bio here.
He's done it all.
He has done it all, and I'm blessed because I've seen him perform. I told him, I said, you know, years ago, I was actually working at a club one night and had the privilege of mixing him. And really, what was the thing back then is they brought this whole jazz, hip-hop, kind of R&B fusion thing together. And I told him my memories of him is his movement. Because the brother danced on stage. They, you know, it was no people didn't do that. Holding a horn, you know, spinning, singing, you know, all this. And really bring him. Let me tell you about this man. 2 #1 Billboard Contemporary Jazz singles. He currently has a 3rd that they said has been on the charts for a while. Let me tell you about the people he's worked with. Josh Groban, David Bowie, Jennifer Lopez, The Temptations. We'll come back to talk about that one. Maxwell, Peabo Bryson, Quincy Jones, Luther Vandross, Dionne Warwick, Kashif, Norman Connors, The Winans, Aaron Neville, Zhang Liang Ying, Misia, Mark Isham, David Foster, man, Harvey Mason Jr., Boney James, Marcus Miller, Take 6. Wow, the list goes on and on and on and on.
That's right. That's
Some of you may, and certainly you should remember the acclaimed group Impromp2 reached #1 status in the UK soul charts. Previously signed to Motown Mojazz Records. Wow, you guys. Let me tell you a little bit about his history because we're going to talk about this. Born in Louisville, Kentucky, but raised, grew and spent years. He moved to Cleveland, Ohio, Norman. So we got Cleveland in the house. You know, but raised in a family that was a musical family. At the tender age of 4, became the lead singer of one of the local gospel choirs.
At 4?
Yeah, playing bongos at age 7. Man. Playing bongos at age 7, and then he started with a first professional group, the Courageous Young Men. Wow. Playing all over Cleveland, snow and all. And then, you know, what happened is, I guess he got exposed. He first saw pictures, I guess, right, Johnny, of the trumpet. Yeah. And then at the age of 12, he picked that up. And there it starts another whole part of his career, playing around in Cleveland, making a name for himself. So he just has so much. Let me just tell you what I was telling him before we got a chance to actually come on the air. I was looking over his bio because I had seen him as a performing artist. So what happens is so often we don't get a chance to recognize how studied folks are. You know, if they're up there jamming and we think it's all grooving and getting in the mood, we don't realize the types of training. This man was previously at the Versailles Conservatory of Music. You know, he is fluent in French. He was over there in Paris when they discovered he could sing.
Wow.
So I'm saying, so what I told him, I said, people need to hear about the academics that are involved with creativity because there is so much academics available. So this is a man who does so much of this. Studied at the Governor State University where he got his BA in music. Just couldn't get enough paper. Just can't get enough paper. And then the part that really got me that I never knew about Johnny Britt was how he came to be with the Temptation. We're going to talk about all this as the... Everybody, welcome my guests. Welcome my guests. I tell you, we celebrate. Johnny, come on. So, man, thank you for coming down.
Yes.
Thank you for coming here. I bet you didn't know what the hell you was coming to.
I definitely didn't know it was going to be like this.
I'm still not sure what it is. Well, Johnny, it's that kind of a thing. Behind you is a row of albums.
Wow.
There's impromptu material here on the shelf somewhere.
Oh,
it's misfiled, probably, because we had a problem.
Yeah.
But we got your stuff here at the house. You up there. So tell us about this start, because you've come a long way.
You know, I really have, and this it's kind of like, this is your life.
Yeah.
Music, it's totally in your soul.
Yeah, you gave it to me from by the time when I was 4 in Cleveland, and wow. I was just actually telling Lillian last night, I was over at Vince Wilburn's house, Miles Davis' nephew, celebrating his marriage. He had like a reception barbecue. And it was a bunch of old friends from Chicago. You know, Munch was there, Daryl Jones, and he played with my band when he was 16 years old in Chicago. I used to go pick him up, and I'm just saying that we were just talking about, relationships and how, my career has just gone through just greatness with great people who've gone on to play with the Rolling Stones, different things of that nature. But hey, growing up in Cleveland, my mother she didn't have any money, and coming up, I played bongos in this group. An author from Cleveland was just interviewing me about that yesterday, about my start there in Cleveland playing the bongos. And you're right, in 6th grade, it was a picture of a trumpet that...
Ain't that amazing?
That influenced me that I should play the trumpet, because the band teacher was giving pictures around to different instruments, and the reason I chose the trumpet because it had 3 valves, and I just thought it couldn't be that difficult. The trombone player, you got a slide, and the clarinet, you had all these notes, and I just did 3 valves, and so I just said that was it. And one of the great things that I have to thank is my mother. Because and I played trumpet in 6th grade. I was first trumpet there. 7th grade, I played trumpet there, and actually Arsenio Hall was our percussion player.
What?
Wow. No.
What? Small world.
Oh yeah, and we actually formed a band together.
Wow.
Arsenio and I. Yeah.
Well, he was the percussion player.
He played percussion and drums.
We need pictures.
And he was actually Arsenio. He was like this. Now he wasn't like this. He was
really.
Yeah, he was heavy set. And that's how I knew him, and we actually formed a band together. And he was a magician back then. Yeah, and we had our...
Isn't it amazing how folks are sort before they get known?
Oh yeah, and I'm telling you, I knew Arsenio before anyone knew, and I can tell you that story when I hooked back up with him in Chicago when he was playing with Nancy Wilson. But anyway, but coming up through the ranks, and I never forget 8th grade. I stopped playing trumpet because the school didn't have a music program, and we were renting the trumpets from the school. And going into the 9th grade, I was in Louisville, Kentucky, visiting my sister. And I'll never forget, my sister called me. My mom called me and said, "Boy, you better get back up here. I just put you in the marching band." for high school, and I go up there, and I had stopped playing for a year. So anyone that knows a brass instrument like the trumpet, it's a very difficult instrument to play. You have to stay on it. So
you got to get that lip. What do you call it? Embouchure. Yeah, there you go.
So after after a year off the trumpet, it's like you haven't played trumpet at all. So I go back, and I had to really just get it back together. But that really, from that point on, I never looked back as far as playing trumpet, and it's because my mother told me, you got to play. I put you in the marching band. And that's why I just put my son in the marching band. I just put him out. He's going 9th grade, and I said, you're going to be in the marching band. You'll thank me for it later. But
discipline too, Johnny.
It's
obviously,
absolutely.
That's a young age for you. That's why I was saying when you started 4, and doing all these things. So you had people who were keeping you in a kind of structured situation and broke.
Yeah, that's right. And it was
broke.
and it was the environment, you know, because
That's wonderful.
In Cleveland, it was just like there were bands all around, and you know, singing groups, talent shows, and the whole thing. So you know, I was just a part of that, you know, growing up. So you know, just fast forward, coming out of high school, I got the amazing opportunity to study at the Conservatoire de Versailles. That's what it's called.
Man.
La Conservatoire de Versailles. That's what it's called.
Brother went from Cleveland.
From Cleveland.
Ain't that a cultural shock? You don't even know what to eat. But you know how to eat or use the toilet.
Oh, hey, speaking of toilets in France, speaking of toilets, see, y'all laughing. But let me tell you about the toilets in France, in an apartment where I stayed. You know, you use the toilet like kind of in the hall. Everybody, you know, is access to the toilet, but there ain't no toilet. You don't sit down. It's just a hole in the ground. It's a hole in the ground.
How you master that age?
It's like
You
that in
learn how to
Malaysia,
aim with different parts of your body.
No, well, it was a whole like you know. It took me from here to here, just as being like you know a person. And of course a musician, because I studied with the great Roger Delmont, who was the first trumpet player of the Paris Opera, Paris Opera. And it was and we had some of the finest trumpet players from around the world who would come study with him. And of course I was the only African American. And I come to find out that Freddie Hubbard studied with him.
Oh yeah,
just some great American players. But yeah, we studied, you know, classical music. That's all it was, and that was just a life-changing experience for me.
Well, now here I'm trying to imagine this young black boy.
Yeah.
In Paris, it takes a certain amount of ego strength. I remember how scared I was. I went away to college. Most of us scared. We just go away from home.
Yeah.
So here you're gonna go. At that age, how was that? I mean, what gave you the strength, Johnny?
Okay.
So that you weren't scared shit. I mean, you know, going over the most of us don't want to leave.
Well, I really had a great advantage. My sister married a Frenchman.
Okay.
We're like we have a very tight family, and I never forget. I studied 1 year in Cleveland State, and I wrote my sister and I said, you know, I want to come to France, and I want to come to France, and to study music. And she said, okay, you know you can come, but you're gonna have to study. You know, you're not gonna be goofing around.
Right.
So I had a place to stay.
Right.
I had a place to stay, and when I got there, I auditioned to get into the conservatory, and I made it. And so I had a place to stay, and it wasn't like I went over there and I didn't know anyone. I had my sister, you know, my brother had a great job. So
you weren't afraid.
No, I wasn't
leaving,
afraid.
Getting on the plane, none of that. You were just ready to go.
He was going to be with family.
I was ready.
I still would have been scared.
Yeah. No, I was.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I was ready to go, and my friend. I had studied French in high school, but like when you get there, dude, it's like it's like.
And they want you to speak. They don't want to help you. They look at you like.
Yeah. So you know, I got my French together. I got just a world full of knowledge, from classical music to avant-garde. I mean, I saw Archie Shepp over there. I saw Ella Fitzgerald. Everyone. Ray Charles.
I'm so impressed.
Let me tell you this story. I guess we have time to talk.
We run this bit.
But I'll tell you a great story. I'll tell you a great story. When I lived in Paris, I went to see Ella Fitzgerald, and you know, everyone's there to see Ella, and I guess she did 2 sets. And I've always been aggressive. That's how I'll tell you about that later. But I've always been like aggressive. I'm not shy. So during her break, during the break of her first set, I went backstage. I went backstage, and the musicians, you know, are in the hall, the big band, you know, and check it out. I walked right into her dressing room. I don't know what was on me. I wasn't, I don't know, but I walked right into her dressing room,
like
by
the
some
Holy
people.
Spirit.
Yeah, but by some people, and she just looked at me like I was crazy. Like, boy, well, like, what are you doing in my dressing room? And I just said, Miss Fitzgerald, I just want to say hello to you. My name is Johnny Britt. Because, you know, most people are not speaking English. They're speaking French, you know. And I never forget, she had these thick glasses on, and she shook my hand. And I wish I had taken a picture, but I didn't.
I know.
And I just shook her hand. I just wanted to say hello to her. And
No iPhones
that was
back
it.
then.
No iPhones back then.
How
And
wonderful,
so that
Johnny.
was my experience meeting Ella Fitzgerald. I mean, I just met the great. I met great legends. I met
Yes.
Kenny Clark, who played with Charlie Parker.
Yes.
I mean, I met Milt Jackson.
Cats.
I mean, this is the Cats.
The Cats.
You know, because I'm down there in the French Quarter.
Yes.
And what was cool about me is I was, you know, a young cat who spoke fluent French.
Wow.
So when the Americans came there, I could interpret
Yeah,
for them,
you
and I could
valuable.
I could show them what
Good,
was
yeah.
going on. So that was just my
Wow.
little. That was my thing. And
Johnny, I wanted to just mention your real name is Johnny Britt.
that's my.
That's not a stage name.
A lot of people ask me.
Can you get a better name than Johnny Britt
That
for
just
this
sounds
music
that's like
business?
Hope Solo. You know,
I
some
thought
names
you
just
would
sound
say-
like you a hit in your genre.
Exactly.
Johnny Britt.
on my birth certificate, it's John. I'm John Roland Britt. That's my.
Even that's cool.
But my mother, everybody calls me Johnny. You know,
Even-
since I was little, Johnny.
But
So
the Brit sounds so theatrical.
Yeah, it does.
you know, people they ask me, "Is that your real name or is that my stage name?" I say, "No, that's my real name."
Well, thank you,
Johnny
Lord.
Britt.
Thank you,
Yeah, and it
Lord.
works.
Name.
You know, I
R&B.
gotta ask you too, Johnny. Here you are in Paris doing all these things, hanging out. You know, because it's the whole issue of the journey.
Yeah.
How did you see your future at that point? Like, here you are. Did you have a plan? Or you like just kind of going along the floor? I'm gonna study my instrument, see what happens. I mean, did you foresee in any kind of way where you might be heading as a career?
Well, I've always known I wanted to be a recording artist. I got signed actually when I was there to a French label. It was a great experience. My first contract was there in France. I'm not going to tell you what my name was. I'm not going to tell. They kind of gave
Now
me a
you're
name.
hitting at it. See, now you done started.
Scale time.
I will tell you. And I've never told anyone this. The
It's the
guy,
first, folks.
the guy that signed me was like a billionaire, French billionaire. His name was Paul de Senville.
Is he still living?
I don't know.
We need to find
I don't know.
We need some help.
But you know, he gave me this money. He gave me this money. I
We need to
signed.
contact
He
him.
gave me this money. I signed the contract, and this is French, you know. And they called me Black Paul.
How old were you, Black Paul?
No, I'm not gonna tell you. I was young, but they
I can see that.
yeah, they called
I
me
can
Black,
see
but
that,
that was
though,
like
Johnny.
the kind of thing.
Yeah.
Black Paul,
Yeah.
and I'm light skinned. But anyway, I never said that. My wife probably didn't even know about that. But anyway, I did a record there. It never. I don't think it ever came out. But that was my first professional experience of signing a recording contract, getting an education, meeting all the guys, the cats. And as far as me seeing the future, I just knew that I wanted to do music, you know, as a profession. And I made my mind up that from a long time ago that I was going to be a professional musician. So I loved being on stage. I started writing at a young age. And I didn't think about it. I just did what I had to do.
So I have a,
Go ahead.
well, you know, I had the pleasure of working with Johnny.
Yes.
But I want to ask you, what was the defining moment for you that you knew when you pulled everything in and you knew that from this point on, I'm an artist and I'm going for this? What was it? When was that? And what did that feel like? You know how, for me, it's like I get these visions and you can't move past the vision. The vision is there and you got to go to your, you know, you have to follow through to your destiny. What was that for you? What defining moment?
That's a very good question, and it's probably a little difficult for me to answer, but I'll do the best that I can. And I would have to say there in France.
There
You
in
know,
France.
signing that first contract, you know, it was in French. All these words, and, you know, getting my first check and doing television and radio, even though it was in France, that was because that was my first professional real moment. And then I knew from that point, you know, I had a band called Funk International with my sister because she was there, and we were at that time, I guess, you know, Earth, Wind and Fire was hot, and you know, the Jacksons.
So this is around 76,
yeah,
77?
yeah, right in there, you know. So I wanted to be like them, you know. I wanted to do that. You know, I wanted to do that. So
Yet you knew your uniqueness, because I've worked with you are that different
He
person
is a
on stage.
yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not like a normal trumpet player. So for that time, you knew you loved all of them, but you knew Johnny Britt in lights. You knew that.
absolutely, I've
Yeah.
always, I'm not going to be
I love
bashful
that.
about it. I've always wanted to be a star.
I love that,
and I feel that.
and you always have been.
Thank you. But one thing I've realized at an early age that I have a gift. I have a gift from singing. You know, singing. I always have to work on my trumpet playing. A lot of people, some people like my trumpet playing better than my singing, but I really work hard at trumpet playing. I don't have to work as hard at singing because I've been doing it so long, and I've been pretty good at it. You know.
But you've been playing the trumpet
Yeah.
since you were 12, right?
Yeah, since 12. Yeah.
So it's been a long time.
It's been a long time, but trumpet, you know,
Still hard.
trumpet, you know, it's just different. You know, you have to work. You know, you have to work hard at it, and it's something that it's the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life is play trumpet, because you have to stay on it.
Oh yeah.
Right.
You know, you have to stay on it,
That lip.
and I play different styles. I play like last year I was on tour with Josh Groban, and I had to play classical music.
Yes.
You know, I play in a big band. I play jazz. I play the Miles Davis
So you're
stuff.
versatile.
So it's a
So the
versatile thing.
conservatory
Yes.
comes back.
And
Oh,
down to earth, and you're
Right.
very down to earth. It's not like you're like stiff. You're like
Always
down to earth.
been.
It's like what you see is what you get.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Regular
like
guy.
just normal, and you're like a musical genius.
Aw,
And a
thank
good
you.
family man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A
Well,
good family.
well, Johnny, tell them how, without the benefit, obviously, of any assertiveness training, you walked in on the Temptations. Because I thought I already see you have a pattern here.
I have a pattern.
I'm going after what you
I
want.
get what I
Well,
want.
and here, you want to hear it? Here you go. Seriously speaking, I finished my time in France at the conservatory, and I moved to Chicago, where I met Lillian, and just a bunch of great. Chicago is like home to me. I want to make that clear. The 10 years that I spent in Chicago was so power packed with culture, with knowledge. I made money doing jingles in Chicago. Got my degree from Governor State. The underground scene, the international scene, the studio scene, funk scene. Anyway,
PNS studio.
yeah, absolutely. I had just finished a stint with Kool and the Gang. They actually wanted
That's
me.
awesome.
Yeah, Khalees
Wow.
and the guys, they actually wanted me to be in the group, and this was on that Cherish album. And they flew me down to they flew me down to Jamaica, and I did some recording with them. It didn't work out for me to be in the group, and I'll tell you why. Because I could sing and I could play, and JT wasn't having that. He wasn't having it. So
Thank you. We love that inside dirt.
but
The fame's James Taylor.
Yeah,
the other James Taylor.
Yeah.
See, you know, we used to trip off that he
Right.
was James Taylor.
Yeah.
So he had to
That's
go by James
interesting.
T.
yeah, so I didn't. I wasn't able to get in the group, and they were on fire. I mean, we were like
Yeah, I remember
rolling
they were-
first class,
Yes.
first everything. And so, I came back to Chicago, and I got into a band where, I played keyboards also. So I played keyboards, and I sang in a top 40 band, actually. Which, top 40 music is not really my thing. My thing is originals, and it's always have been. But thank God for that band.
It's a start.
Yeah, but this band, I met my wife through this band.
What was the name of the band?
It was called Monterey.
Okay.
And I met, they played in the Indiana area.
Okay.
So we lived in Chicago, but Indiana is right across the
Right.
bridge.
Right.
But I met my wife through this band, and I met her. I guess was maybe my second gig with them, and she walked in, and I was done. That's a whole other story. That's a whole other story. We'll stay on the Temptation story. But anyway, we played at this venue called the Holiday Star Theater, and I'm sure you
yeah.
know it. And the group was playing. We were playing in the disco part, in the club part, where people come and dance. And I play keyboards with this band. And on the billboard, it was like the Temptations are there tonight. And
you walked into their dressing
no,
room.
no, no. It's better than that. It's better than that. Now this is I need to write a book.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
you
do.
I need to write a book.
Like that look.
But check it out.
Like Gwen published it.
With the Gwen published it. Okay, there you go. So in any case, we're in the band, doing time for it, and we have a break, and I guess our break is 20 minutes or half an hour or something. You take a break, and the Temptations played on over here. It's a resort, so they're in the big stage over here, and this band I was with is over here in this little club, and in the middle was like the hotel. Whatever. Anyway, I run through the hotel and the whole thing to go over to where the Temptations were.
Oh my gosh.
And I knock on the door, and this big security guy, I'm like, I'd like to meet Otis Williams. He doesn't know me. I'd like to meet Otis Williams. And this cat like looks at me, and he like shuts the door in my face. Security. And so what I did is I walked into the main auditorium, and they had just let the concert out, so nobody's in the main auditorium. You follow me? Mm-hmm. I jumped on the stage, and I walked right backstage to the green room. And the first person I ran into was who?
Otis Williams.
And this is what I said. I looked at him. I said, "Hi, Mr. Williams. My name is Johnny Britt. I said, I have some songs I think you would be interested in."
I love it.
And he looked at me like I was crazy. And then he says, come to my room tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. I said, "Okay, I'll see you there." And I left. And I ran back to get to the gig. Ran back to get to the gig, whatever we were playing. And I go back home that night, and I'm like, "Honey," to my wife, we had just gotten married. I said, "Guess who I just met?" I said, "Otis Williams from the Temptations, and he wants to hear my songs." Because I've always been writing and producing. And sure enough, I go to his hotel. This is before the Top 40 gig, So 7 o'clock, and before their gig, obviously. And he's like, "What you got?" I gave him the cassette. And he listened to it, and he just started smiling. And he started smiling. And he started smiling. And that, to make a long story short, we became just like that. He loved my music.
Did he record it? Any of it?
Yeah, I've got platinum records with the Temptations that I've. Absolutely. So what happened was we stayed in touch, and this is when Arsenio was like really, really hot, and we talked like all the time. And he was like on Arsenio one night, and I said, "Hey man," I said, "Hey, tell Arsenio Johnny Britt said hey." He said, "All right." Otis is. So we're like this, like Arsenio. I think Melvin, Otis, and Arsenio. And everybody's watching Arsenio at this time, and they're national TV. Yeah, Otis, and Otis is right here, and Otis is like taps Arsenio. Johnny Britt from Cleveland says, "Hey." Man, my phone lit up. Everybody called me, man. Johnny. And Arsenio was like, yeah. He said, "Tell Johnny Britt from Cleveland said hi." And so that was like my first national thing, right? And then after that, Otis knew of my studies in France, and he knew my work, what I could do, and as an arranger and the whole thing. So anyways, tells me, "Come to the Erie Crown Theater." Mm-hmm. We're playing there with the OJs. So my wife and I come check the show out, come in, and we check the show out. And then we go backstage afterwards, and it's like Melvin, Ollie, Richard Street, and Otis is like, they let me through the back, stage. Now they know me now, the security. And Otis is like, "Hey y'all, My Kind of Woman, Heaven." These are songs that they're recording of mine he's letting them know this is the cat that wrote this stuff, because Al McKay produced it.
Al McKay, everybody.
So man, they all like give me a hug and everything is cool. And Otis is like, "Meet me at my hotel." Go to the hotel. They're staying at some hotel on Michigan Avenue. So my wife and I go up there, and I'm always working on a lot of projects in Chicago, and so we go to the hotel room, and he's really nice. Otis is just, God bless him. He really gave me my break into this industry. Because he's such an icon. Anyway, yes. he comes, we go, my wife and I were in this hotel room, and he's like, "So did you check out the show?" I said, "Yeah, I checked out the show." And he says, "Can you handle it?" I said, "Yeah, I can handle it." Then he asked my wife, he said, "Can he handle it?" She said, "Yeah, he can handle it." Because he was talking to me about being the musical director for the Temptations. And so he tells me, he says, "I tell you this, you write us an overture, and you got the gig." It's like a fanfare before they come on stage.
A medley.
And I took out my little pen. I said, "So what do you want in it? What do you want?" He says, "There's a song called Temptation." He says he wants Temptation in it, and then whatever you want to do. Wow. And I said, "Okay." And we left that hotel room, and I'll never forget, my wife and I ran down the hall, and she said, "You stop everything that you're doing, and you put your foot in that overture." And that's exactly what I did. I stopped everything I was doing, and I came up and I wrote this overture. Dun 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 dun. Then dun 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 dun. I just put the whole vibe on it. Anyway, I played it for him over the phone. Otis. Yeah. Now they're already recording my song, so now we're talking about MD.
Sure.
So I played it for him over the phone, and they flew me to Los Angeles. And that's the first time anyone has ever flown me. And then had the car come pick me up. The car come pick me up. I ain't never had a car come pick me up. Put me up in a hotel, and so I'm in LA. I'm like, wow. And then I go over to his house with the arrangement of the overture, and Melvin comes over, and I play the overture for him. Then it was a really nice overture. They still do it from time to time, and man, Otis was smiling, and Blue said, "Is she your gig? Is she your gig?" Three octaves lower, like 3 octaves lower, and I was just like, "Can I call my wife?" And I called her and I said, "Honey, I got the gig," and it was just like that. That changed my life forever. So I went all around the world with them as a musical director, and it was really, when I was there, it was like I told you, Ali, Melvin, Richard Street, Ron Tyson. They just coming off of Treat Her Like a Lady, so it was like star time. And then they had this young cat, me, the musical director, conducting, doing dances with them and conducting, and I met Magic Johnson. They all came to see us at we played the Greek Theater and stuff. So that just it really put me on the map, and I'll never forget flying to Los Angeles for the interview with my overture. I ran into Ram Lee, the trumpet player for Earth, Wind and Fire.
Michael Davis.
Yeah, and he said, and we sat next to each other on the plane coming to LA, and he told me, he said, "Johnny, this is your break." He says, "Johnny, this is your break," and I never forget. And it was. And when I came to Los Angeles with Stripes. I was hiring people when I came here. I was hiring people. I was conducting orchestras and the whole thing, and they were recording my songs, and it just took me to another level. And we wanted to move to Los Angeles anyway, and that allowed us to move to Los Angeles in first class because they wanted me to be out here.
Wow, that's great.
And from there, I had signed a production deal with the Temptations, and Gerald Busby signed me at Motown, and I was a solo artist, and I produced myself. The record never came out, political stuff. It never came out, but I was signed to Motown before.
Political stuff.
Well,
All right, that's too late. That's what I'm just feeling you out. That was in the bio.
Yeah. But so I was signed to Motown before my group Impromp2 was signed to Motown. No one really knows it. Never really came out. But anyway, that's what that was. And Steve McKeever had seen me with the Temptations. Yeah, with the Temptations. So when I put together the group Impromp2, which I auditioned 40 rappers to form a group, because I
didn't even know you did that. You put together Impromp2 and you auditioned.
Yeah, I'm the founder and lead singer of Impromp2.
Wow,
that was my idea.
Who did you audition?
Well, what happened? Let me just tell you this real fast. What happened was, Miles Davis came out with the last album he recorded called Doo-Bop, and it was with a rapper named Easy Mo B. So it was Miles and a rapper, and this is during the time when Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre had just came out with The Chronic.
So that 2001.
It was like 90. No, it was like 93.
93. Yeah, that's early 90s.
93. So all that stuff was hot. So I just thought, man, if I got a rapper, I never really wanted to be in a group. I never wanted that, but I just felt conceptually, and plus I wanted a platform where I could sing and play my horn, because it's kind of difficult to do both. I mean, I'm doing it now, but it's just kind of, you can't sing and play at the same time.
And a whole bunch of folks sing and play horn.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something, but I have a hard ass time thinking of something.
Thank you. But in any case, I just thought it was a great idea, and to answer your question, I don't know the rappers that I auditioned. I auditioned 45. I know that. I don't know their names. I came down to wherever rappers hang out because I didn't even know. And And so Maxie Anderson, you know Maxie?
Yes, of course.
Maxie was driving me home from a session one day. We were in a recording session, and it was raining. I'll never forget. And she's like, Johnny, what's wrong? And I said, I'm looking for a rapper. I need a rapper, because I knew I could get a deal. And she says, I got the guy. And it turned out to be the guy that I finally, settled with. And his name is Sean, and he's a real cool cat. And he came over to audition for me, and he wasn't what I was looking for. He was not what I was looking for, but I could tell he said that when he commits to something, he does 100%. And because I knew it was not going to be an easy road, So I chose, I selected him and molded him into like something that what's on the records, the coolness.
Right.
So the concept, it was a concept group. It was a concept group, and it was, conceptually, it was different musically, and with the makeup of the group, because there was never a group that had a trumpet player that sang. Played like Marvin, sang like played like Miles and sang like Marvin, and then a rapper who I kind of had him like scatting.
Right.
And
Right.
so what is this?
That's what I said. The first time I saw you, I said,
Right.
What is this?
What is this? So what happened was, we did get Steve McKay.